are only for Tamil Nadu users. Now, this is a question of the user base, right? The user base. That hey, what is your user base? Let's say now you are asking. Now Nandakishore will ask. Now Nandakishore will ask the client, should I take about 1 million people? Let's say 1 million users, right? 1 million people or 1 million users. So this will be a user base, right? Now, what kind of e-commerce platform are you triggering, right? Or are you expecting? Now there are various kinds of e-commerce platform, or let's say shopping cart, right? If you talk about Misho, right? If you talk about Amazon, now Amazon, Flipkart are giants in e-commerce platform. They sell everything. They sell everything from 0 to 100, right? A to Z. So you want to say that what kind of products do you want to sell, right? The kind of products, let's say, where we have some categories, right? Categories can have fashion, right? Electronics, right? And food, let's say. Not food, this will be grocery delivering app. So let's say I am having some fashion and electronics, right? And some miscellaneous, right? Now three. Now, now the client is saying that to Nandakishore that hey, put an option of how do you want to like support the payment options. Client saying no COD. I don't want to support COD because many of the sites don't support COD. So I'm not supporting COD because people hamper the products and then they send it back to our to us, right? So I don't want to implement COD. So Nandakishore says, right, okay, I will implement a payment gateway, right? Gateway where I will be having a system of debit, like debit card or UPI, just two, not or credit card. Okay, I have this functionality that hey, you can only pay using these three methods. No COD is available, right? Now, kind of products. Let's say now I want to implement some security standards also. Security standards. Let's say how do you want to implement the security standard or logging in, logging out? Everybody will have the username and password, right? Username and password, right? Or you can log in through Google SSO, the Google sign on, okay, single sign on, which will automatically right redirect you to the site. Okay, now the five is what kind of customers, what type of users you should be having, right? Type of users. Now whenever you have a shopping cart, let's say Amazon, Flipkart, Misho, you have a seller, you have a buyer, right? So these are the two kinds of users. Now buyers will be our customers. Everybody is a customer, but buyer will be our customer, and seller is our, let's say, a different kind of customer, which we call it as merchant, right? So there may be many more requirements, right? But I'm just sticking to these five right now, right? So Nandakishore has gathered these requirements, and then he will go on to design the database, right? And it will do the cost optimization, and then it will design the database. So whenever we talk about designing a database, right? So database design is a process of producing a detailed data model of the database, right? It should have every physical design choices. By physical design choices, what I mean is, now the client has stated its requirement, but how do you want to design the database? It's up to you. Whether you want to use a SQL or a NoSQL database, right? So this is up to us, right? This is up to us. How do you want to make the database? Let's say you will have different services, order service, right? Then there is some payment service, right? And there is some user management service, right? Basically this is UMS, right? So you have these choices, but this all depends on the implementation part. That is, Nandakishore, all the developer which will be implementing the database will be getting these choices, and it will implement according to his or own will, right? Now let's say client says, hey, I need that consistency is very important for me. Consistency is very important for me. Now for consistency, you know that SQL databases are very much preferable. Why? Because SQL databases provide us with the acid properties, right? Acid properties. Now if I say acid properties, that is consistency important, but the client is also saying, but my this dashboard, whenever I open Amazon, let's say I'm opening Amazon, right? Now this dashboard, this dashboard will be loading very fast, right? This dashboard should also be loading very fast. Now sometimes this loading of dashboard is not possible very fast in case of SQL databases, because they are highly consistent, they are not highly available, right? They are not highly available, or they are not much fast than compared to NoSQL databases. So you will make a choice, you will send the cost optimization to the client, that hey, if I implement SQL, let's say, now you want consistency, so you want consistency in form of orders, right? Orders, consistency in the orders table and in the payment table, right? Because these tables are majorly responsible for their like revenue part, right? Orders and payments, right? But if you want high availability, yes, sorry for the spelling. Okay, whatsoever, like you might understand, high availability, then it should be with the, let's say, dashboard API. Let's say you are designing some dashboard service, right? Now it should be on this, like high availability for the dashboard service. Now what you will do, you will design, you will choose a SQL database for this, and you will choose a NoSQL database for this, NoSQL database for this, right? But let's say the cost of this databases, this type of databases comes to be very high, right? Then the developer will inform the client, hey, this is your estimated cost. You will estimated cost, you will figure out some estimated cost and then tell to client, right? Tell to client. Now client will figure out the choice. You will keep every estimated cost, the pros and cons of each, let's say, choice with the client, and then client will figure out the choice and decide, right? Because money will be, you will be getting money from the client, right, at the end. So this is client's call, that hey, this is are the pros and cons. If you implement using this like the SQL or NoSQL, you will be having a good website. A little more less available website can be made available with SQL only, or little bit more available website but less consistent can be made with NoSQL only, right? So this is up to you. How do you want to like cater the database? Let's say now this consistency availability comes into picture when you have a very large he's saying that as the client wants to be available only for the Tamil Nadu, let's say his own city, then he can choose any one database, will not matter at all. He will go with the cheapest option, because for him the cost matters right now, because the client is just starting with his e-commerce platform. He may not have funding, he may not have some resources, but he just want to make the website with its own cost, right? So he can choose one type of database and tell the developer to develop on the basis of that, right? So database design. Now then comes the database modeling, right? So when we talk about database modeling is a set of conceptual tools, right? Data relationships. Now let's say when you model the data, let's say I am having a customer table, then you will be defining some tables. Hey, customer tables, and I will be having an order table, I will be having a payment table, right? These kind of tables I will be having, merchant table and many more, right? Now you will be defining some data relationships and data constraints. Let's say you are saying that every customer can place multiple orders, orders. So this is a 1 is to n relationship, right? Every now every payment is related to only one customer. A payment cannot be related to multiple customers, right? Multiple customers. If a payment ID is there, it will be made by only one customer only. So this is basically a kind of 1 is to 1 relationship. So we define the relationships. How do you want to like connect the tables among them, right? That is customer to orders, there will be 1 is to n. Customer to payment, there will be 1 is to 1, right? Only one customer, but a customer can have multiple payments, then you can have 1 is to n also, right? A customer can have multiple payments, but one payment will be related to only one customer. Do you understand that, the relation between payment and customer? A customer can make multiple payments, but a payment will be made by only one customer. Okay. Okay. So basically you do the data modeling and then you design a blueprint of your successful DBMS, and then you provide the abstraction and functionality of structuring the data, right? Now we have different kinds of like object based data model, right? One, we have object based data model, that is known as entity relationship model, which we use in our corporate world, right? Which we use to define a schema. We use it to, let's say, get a glimpse of how the database looks like, right? We have a conceptual data model, right? Now the conceptual data model is a first step of defining your database, right? How will your tables will be related to each other? It will just include the relationship and the important entities. You will not enlist the constraints or any kind of constraint or a primary key whatsoever, right? So let's say I'm building a sales table. So this timetable is related to sales, this store is also related to sales, this product is also related to sales, right? How they are related to each other, just that. When you come to logical data model, the logical data model contains, it includes all the entities, all the relationships among them. It also includes the primary keys, the foreign keys, and the normalization. The most optimized format for the table or the relationships occurs in this level, like that is the logical data model. Let's say you want to cater a foreign key, right? Let's say your orders table will have a foreign key, that is the customer ID, that which order is related to which customer. Your payment table will also be having a customer key, that this payment is made by which customer, right? So this all happens inside the logical data model. You will be defining this primary key, which is a product ID, store ID, and this sales ID, right? And there is sales table is having a foreign key, that is a store ID is a foreign key, which is a primary ID of store table. It is a product ID, which is a primary ID of product table, and same for the date. Sales ID will also be there, right? So what we have, what steps do we have in developing a database? We have the requirement analysis. First, we gather the requirement from the client. We design the database. That is, we design the database. That is, design the conceptual data model. That is how the tables are related to each other. That is what we did over here, right? How the tables are related to each other. Then we define the attributes of those tables, right? Let's say I'm customer table. Now what those customer table can contain? It can contain ID, name, phone number, address, right? List of addresses, sorry, right? And payment table, payment ID, customer ID, payment mode, payment status, etc., right? Orders table, order ID, right? Customer ID, whatsoever it can contain. So it all happens in the logical data model, right? Physical database design. Then after you have created everything, then you want to say that, hey, if I'm catering to only 1 million users, I can have, let's say, 10 GB of space, right? 10 GB of space, 20 GB of space, whatsoever is available, right? Whatsoever is feasible for me, since the client does not want to spend so much money and it want to cater its own city, people in its own city only, right? So we have physical database design, right? Now we have the application and security. Now the client is saying that I have to ensure the security standards also. So it will say that I want to ensure the security standards by username and password. So your database system will be having some username and password. That's say, and the authorization, authentication, whatsoever will be happening in this phase, right? The security standard phase, right? So username, password, and roles that admin read or write, right? So whatsoever it wants to get, right? The client wants to get from the developer, right? I guess this is the ER model slide. Any doubt up to this, guys? Any doubt up to this?
No, sir.
Okay, okay. Guys, can you fill up this form? I'm just sending this form to you.